Canada or the United States? Which one? If you're an international student wondering which country is best for you, I have just the advice for you. You don't want to miss out. Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Mariam Nwachukwu and I am currently a student at the University of Waterloo. So this video is tailored to international students. I want to make it somehow easier for you to make a decision as to what country it is that you want to do your master's, well, not necessarily master's or bachelor's degree in. So I've been fortunate enough to have done my bachelor's in the United States, and right now I'm doing my master's in Canada, as I mentioned. And so I do have a little bit of experience, and my hopes is that it will help you in making your decision. So I'm just gonna be looking at my phone because I do have points that I do want to hit, and I want to make sure that I hit all the points for you. The first thing we're going to talk about is work as a student, like while you're in school. And then the next is term versus semester, just so that you can kind of get an understanding of that. I won't go into detail with that because I do have another video. It's coming out soon and you will see that soon. Next, I'm going to be talking about teaching styles, and then I'm going to be talking about postgraduate work permit. Following that, I'm going to talk about an opportunity or reason to stick around. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's get started with work. We're gonna start off with the US. So just a little background. I was in the US for almost a decade, 10 years. I did my high school, I finished my high school in the US, and then I did my undergrad degree. So as a high school student, I was in a boarding school, and I wasn't permitted to work. I don't believe high school international students are permitted to work, but moving forward into university, you are allowed to work as an international student. The limit is 20 hours while you're taking classes, and while you're not taking classes, like during actual official breaks, you can work as a full-time employee, so you can work 40 hours. The only negative aspect to working in the US is that you have to work on campus. You can't go out to like a restaurant or to the mall or to Walmart and find a job and work. You have to be working on campus. So if there are no jobs available on campus, I am really sorry to tell you, you cannot work. So let's move over to Canada. I've been in Canada for almost a year now, and as an international student, I believe master's and bachelor's degree, they're both the same thing for like the work aspect. You can work on campus and you can work off campus. So the deal is that same thing as the US. You can work 20 hours while school is in session, while you're taking classes, but you can work 20 hours off campus and you can work 10 hours on campus. So a maximum of actually 30 hours, which is 10 hours better than the US. And on top of that, as I said, you can work off campus, which is wonderful. That means if you wanted to go work at a restaurant, if you wanted to walk at Walmart, if you wanted to work at the mall, if you wanted to work at like a car shop or anything, you can do that. As long as you get the job, that's good. And then while school is out of session, so while there are actual scheduled official breaks, you can work full time, so 40 hours as well. So that's the work aspect. Let's move on. The next thing that I want to talk about is term versus semester. It's not really a big topic, but it was a little bit of a shocker for me, and so I just want to introduce it to you just so you're not as shocked as I was when I was coming into Canada. So in the US, the school year, the way school is divided is in semesters. So you have the fall, and then I believe, what is it? The fall and spring, basically. So the fall is almost like 4 months and a half, and then the spring is 4 months and a half, and you get like two full loads. Like you take one class and finish it in the fall, and then you take another class and you finish it in the spring, and then you kind of get the summer off, which is wonderful. You get a break. In Canada, on the other hand, while in the University of Waterloo, school is divided up into terms. So there are 3 terms in 1 year, and as an international student, I'm speaking, I guess, from the perspective of a master's student, those terms are year-round and you don't have a break in between, not at Waterloo. So there's the fall term, there's the winter term, and then there is the spring term. And these are all 4 months each, and I am sorry to tell you, there's no break in between. The only luck that you can have is like if your finals are scheduled so that they're very early and they end early, you kind of get a little break in between. But other than that, there really isn't a break in between, so I don't really like that, but it is what it is. I guess you finish earlier. It doesn't really change the money aspect because you're still paying those 3 terms. Like every time the term comes by, money is due, tuition is due. So just a little something for you to think about. Don't get scared though. You will finish earlier. I guess you can take that as a positive aspect of it. The next thing on my list is teaching style. So I did get this question from one of my hopefully subscribers. I apologize I didn't get your name, but she asked like how or what to expect with the teaching styles. I think this is a bit hard to explain because my perspective from an undergrad has to be different from that of a master's student because they're kind of 2 levels, but I will just give you my perspective because that is all I have to give. So in the US, I was a bachelor student and I did have some professors that were good. I mean, basically with all classes, most of the time you go in, they give you material, it's just like the basics, nothing really too deep, and then you go home and you have to cram a lot and keep cramming in order to succeed. Some of my classes in the US, I was really happy. Like, professors did give us a lot of work, they taught us the basics, but the good thing was that like if I had questions after like trying to study things and not understanding them, and I reached out to professors in the US, they didn't really give a huff or a puff. They didn't really hesitate to say, come into my office hours, I'm gonna try and explain it to you so that you can better understand that. I really liked that about that class. But there were some professors, of course, there are always those professors that really don't want to talk to the students, I guess. Like, we're paying you money so that we can understand something. You give us gibberish in class, we don't understand, we reach out to you, and you don't want to explain. There were those professors, of course, but in the US overall, I did really have a really good relationship with most of my professors. Now, on Canada's side, so in Canada, I think the pace is much quicker, much quicker. I believe it's because we do have just 4 months, or really just 3 months, like 3 months and a half for them to teach, and then like finals and exams are at the end of the last month. So things are a lot quicker. So professors are literally just dipping into things, speaking so quick, and you really can't keep up. With my first class, I was really scared because I came in, I'm like, whoa, I didn't learn this, I didn't learn that, I didn't learn that, I didn't learn this. Because I mean, my bachelor's degree is in mechanical engineering, and I was in like a software class. Excuse me, I was so puzzled. And when I had the guts to reach out to the professor, one of my main professors, he literally told me that I should go and ask my peers my question. And like, I was shook. I'm like, what do you mean, ask my peers? I don't know anybody in the class. Master students don't really like to talk to each other. So even when I was in class, it's not like I could say, hey, like really talk to people. People don't want to talk to each other. I guess they're here just to study, succeed, and move on with their life. Nobody was really talking to anybody. So for the fact that the professor was telling me to reach out to my peers, I was really angry about that. Anyway, I took that anger, put it behind me, and emailed the professor back. I'm like, hey, like, I've tried to reach out to my peers. No one wants to talk to me. No one's explaining anything. And he's like, oh, have you tried to Google it? Have you tried to I'm like, yes, Google is my best friend. Google is a better teacher than you. Of course, before I reached out to you, the first thing I had done is, of course, Googled it. I had gone to Google, I had looked at stuff on Cure, I looked at YouTube, and I still can't find the answer, and that's why I'm reaching out to you. And basically, this kept going on. He never had office hours. On his his outline of how the course would go, he listed his office hours as to be announced, as in to be announced when when the term was over. So at the end of the term, I really had to speak to him. I had struggled the whole term and figured things out eventually, but I had to speak to him about something. And I reached out to him again. I'm like, hey, look, you keep denying me me office hours and I really need to speak to you about something. And he tried to deny me again, and I was like, look, like at this point I'm going to the dean. I'm going to the dean. We're gonna have a conversation because right now this is unacceptable. Like, what the heck? And after that, he let me see him in his office hours. Maybe that's my advice to you. But when reaching out to a stubborn professor, just tell them that you're gonna go to the dean, because at the end of the day, they're not supposed to be denying you office hours. Why are you denying me office hours? I'm here to learn. You are my professor. But yeah, that was my overall experience with Canadian professors. Oh, there was another professor. I had a midterm. The TA graded my paper and he graded it really awfully, and I wanted the professor to take a second look at the paper, and the professor had the audacity to tell me that if he had graded the paper, he would have taken 5 more points off. I'm like, whoa, like, are you angry or not? That's so mean, like, ugh. Anyway, those were 2 horrible professors. I am taking a course right now. It's called Big Data Analytics, and the professor I have is wonderful. Like, so just so you know, I am doing school online, but whenever we have questions and stuff like that, he has his office hours basically, and during his office hours are when we present our questions to him. And whenever I ask him something, he's so helpful. He breaks down everything, and he always like gives me some type of answer, which is really cool. So in Canada as well, I've had bad professors to start off with, but I've also had good professors. And oh, and that is the teaching style. Let's move on. The next topic I want to cover is post-grad work permit. Of course, we're going to start with USA. So in the United States, after you finish your degree, you're given the opportunity to apply for OPT. And basically, OPT gives you the chance to work in the field that you studied in. So we're gonna take myself as an example. I graduated with a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and so I had to find jobs that related to that in specific, otherwise it doesn't really count towards OPT. So when they state OPT, they tell you that it's 1 year. But darlings, do not be fooled. It's not 1 year. You have 3 months to find a job. And if you're not able to find a job or work for a professor, which I'll explain, you have to leave. That opportunity that you were given to work and remain is gone. Which is kind of like, it really baffles me that they did that, that they do that. Like, there are people out there that are really trying to work, to remain. And when you're given like the average citizen themselves, like, finding a job is hard, and for them to just narrow it down to 3 months really it really isn't fair. But anyway, so I do have a video explaining like how things went down, one of my Canadian vlogs, one of my Canadian like videos, and also in my introductory tag, which you can watch. I'll put them up there somewhere. But I was applying, I was in New York, and then I moved to Texas because I believed that there was a better opportunity for an engineer to find a job there. And so I moved there, and I was getting interviews. I mean, I was sitting down with companies, talking to them, and it always came down to whether or not I was a citizen. And of course I wasn't, and so I always got the boot because of that, which is really, really unfortunate. So the way I remained, I ended up working for a professor for the remaining 1 year, and then after that, so long, that's it, goodbye US. So OPT is 1 year in general for all students. But after you've worked 1 year, if you manage to find a company, and they are, I believe, they have to be certified by some type of program and so forth. You will have to do your own research for that. But if you are a STEM student and the company is certified under this thing that you will research about, you can actually extend your OPT so that it's 3 years, which is good. I didn't get to that stage, but I just wanted to point it out so you do know that that is out there for you. All right, so Canada. So I haven't been in Canada for too long. Like I said, I've been here for almost a year, and so I don't want to really say something that's gonna come back and bite me. However, I have been to a few workshops and I did attend my orientation, so I do have a little bit of background knowledge as to how the work permit is going to kind of go down later on. So basically, depending on the length of your program, you can actually, from the very start of the work permit period, you can actually get a 1 to 3 year work permit. Which one you get, you will have to speak to your counselor, advisor at that time, or do some research, and you will be able to figure out which one will fit you. And yeah, that's pretty much what I know so far. I don't know if it's trickery where you have to find something in 3 months. I really hope that's not the case. I have a feeling that's not the case. But yeah, that's what I know about the work permit in Canada so far. All right, lastly, let's talk about the opportunity to remain. I think this is the most important topic. I feel like this is why the sun is shining down on me right now. It believes that is the most important topic as well, the opportunity to remain in US or Canada. Let's start with US. So after you're done with your OPT, and you find a company and so forth that you want to work with, in order for you to remain in US, to have the opportunity to become a permanent citizen, permanent resident, or a citizen at some point, the only way that you can remain through the educational route is for you to take that visa that you have. So it's gone from a student visa to a work, to an OPT, like a short work visa, to a H-1B visa. And at that point, the company that you're working for needs to sponsor you. And for you to be sponsored, I hope you understand what that means. For you to be sponsored, you really need to be the best of the best. The best of the best. Like, the company needs to have a really good reason to pick you out of all the Americans in the world and sponsor you. And to be honest, that is really hard. That is really hard to obtain. So yeah, that is the opportunity to remain after the educational route in the US. Not really the best chance, but that's that. Now let's talk about Canada. So before even jumping into the work permit and the process after that, I'm just gonna take a few steps back, and we're gonna talk about how, like, the opportunity to become a permanent resident without even going to school in Canada. So they do have, immigration has this profile under express entry that you can apply to and maybe get your permanent residence. Most of the fields that are covered under that is your age, your work experience, siblings, your education, things of that sort, your English proficiency skill. All of those will add up towards points, and if your points are high enough, you get put in a pool, and if your points are really high, then you get picked out of the pool and you get an invitation to apply for permanent residence, which is wonderful, which is really wonderful that they do that. Like, let me not say anything about that. I think I'm gonna make a separate video and just explain that process to you, because I have started that process and I feel like it is just something good for you to know. Let me move a little bit closer. So after you finish and you get your degree, the next thing, if you aren't able to get permanent residence through the first route that I just spoke about, you can apply again. So you're going to fit under a new category, and now with 1 year of experience underneath your belt, the chances of you to become a permanent resident, from what I've heard from people so far, is so much higher. Like, I think that's wonderful. The fact that they do that, the fact that they want people, like educated people, to come into the country and to remain in the country is wonderful. And yeah, that's just something I wanted to point out. If you guys are still kind of confused, let me know. I will sit down, write a more detailed outline and just break that down for you. But basically what I'm saying is that there's more opportunity for you to remain in Canada after you finish going to school, after spending so much money going to school in that country. All right guys, I believe that is it. The sun is disappearing. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it very useful. And if you still have questions, please do not be shy. Leave your questions down in the comments below and I will respond. I always respond. And if your questions are good enough, I probably will make a video out of it. So if you haven't already, guys, please give this a thumbs up. Subscribe, share this video, and I will see you guys when I do. Mwah. Bye.